we doing, guys? And welcome back to TSTV. Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 1. We're reflecting on yet another defeat, another complete capitulation after taking the lead in a game. Happened way too many times recently. Just off the top of my head, I can think of the Fulham game, 1-0 up with 6-7 minutes to go, lose 2-1. Crystal Palace away, 1-0 up, so many chances to kill the game off. Equalised very, very late on. Bournemouth 1-0 up, completely dominating the first half. Draw 2-2, very lucky to get a point in the end. Manchester City 1-0 up. A City side that are really, really struggling, especially at that particular moment in time. Don't capitalise, completely capitulate, lose 3-1. Brighton in the FA Cup, obviously isn't a league game. 1-0 up, lose 2-1, completely capitulate in that. And it just speaks to the weak mentality of this team and of this football club from top to bottom. When it happens once, it's an accident. After the Fulham game, I was pretty sanguine about it. We've been playing very, very well up until that point, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes a team can, give you a bit of a sucker punch, and you've got to take that as almost a bit of a kick up the backside. But you just keep on repeatedly having the same pattern in games where you're going 1-0 up, you're not killing teams off, and you just fold. It's spineless. And because it's a pattern, I think you can call it spineless. The performance was better yesterday than it was at Brighton. That's factually correct. It was a bit better. Maresca tried a few different things, and I admire him for that. Bringing Reece James into midfield, having two kind of conventional fullbacks in Gusto and Cucurella overlapping, particularly in the first half. Having Pedro Neto up front, someone who can run in behind the Aston Villa defence and cause them problems. Putting Christopher Nkunku out on the left, where, again, he was very, very poor again, but he realised, Maresca, that having out front was just completely useless. He wasn't doing anything. So, okay, let's try and get him in the team, but potentially have him making an impact from a different position. And it worked for the first half. Very bright start, go 1-0 up. Had a couple of other chances to go 2-0 up. At half-time, it was absolutely abundantly clear what would happen in the second half. Aston Villa would make changes. From the bench, they could bring on Leon Bailey, Daniel Marlon, Marcus Rashford. And Marcus Rashford puts 2 goals on a plate for Marco Asensio. And it's the same old rubbish. It's the same old rubbish. And this goes back to the January transfer window. And this game is a very, very kind of good sticking point where you can go, right, look at the direction, the ambition of the two clubs involved. Look at what was needed at that moment in time. Now, Aston Villa sold John Duran for 70, 80 million. They couldn't really turn down that money. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. He's not in a Premier League team which can potentially damage them. So he's gone. But they bought in Daniel Marlon for 25, 30 million. They bought Marcus Rashford in on loan. They bought Marco Asensio in on loan. They bought Axel Disasi from us on loan, but he obviously didn't play yesterday. They bought another defender, I think Garcia, who has done pretty well so far for them. And they've already got Morgan Rogers up front with Ollie Watkins. So look at the options Aston Villa had in that game. Match winners that can come on and affect the result or change a result around, because obviously they were losing for a lot of that game. Asensio, Rashford, Bailey, Marlon, Rogers, Watkins, that's 6 very, very good attackers on their day that came in to help the team. And Aston Villa, the board recognised that they're still in the Champions League. They're through to the last 16. They've got a pretty nice draw against Bruges. They're still in the mix for getting into the top 4, and they're still in the FA Cup. Do you know what we need to do? We want to go and compete for those trophies. We want to get back in the Champions League. So they backed their manager, and they backed him with solutions that could help him now. It wasn't going out and signing 60, 70 million pound players. It was getting in loan signings, sensible loan signings, that could help impact the team now. And if they don't work out, they don't have to commit to them in the summer. And they can move them on. But if they do work out, great. They can potentially sign them on a permanent transfer. They backed their manager. They backed the team. They said, we want to go further in the Champions League. We want to go and win the FA Cup. We want to get back into the top 4. They showed ambition. And what did we do? We signed Matthias Amugo, a 19-year-old that, to all intents and purposes, is never going to play for Chelsea. He'll be at Strasbourg next year. That's how we backed our manager. That's how the board backed our manager. That's how the board helped support the team in a moment where they were having a dip in form. Our two forwards, Nicholas Jackson and Mark Yu, get injured on the eve of the transfer window, a few hours before it shuts. Now people can say, oh, that's bad luck. It's just really, really bad luck. Well, hang on. You could never rely on Mark Yu being an option anyway. He's an 18-year-old. That's never what he was brought in for. It's not bad luck. What's the phrase? You fail to prepare and you prepare to fail. And that's what we've done. We've absolutely, and the board have absolutely, taken all momentum out of this season. It's done. The season's done. We are not going to get into the top 5. We're not. We're simply not. I think we've got 6-7 weeks before our players start coming back, and it's already going to be too late by then. In our next 2 home games, we've got Leicester and Southampton. Now, realistically, that should be an easy 6 points. Can I see us winning both of those games? We might beat Southampton, but it'll probably be a lucky win, 1-0, 2-1. Actually, it won't be 1-0 because we always concede a goal. We might scab a win there. Could we then go and follow that up with a win against Leicester? I'm not sure. I'm not sure we can. Because this is the state of the squad that Enzo Maresca's been left with. It's negligence. It's pure negligence. And you've got Aston Villa's owners showing ambition. Aston Villa. We're not talking about Real Madrid. We're not talking about Manchester City here. We're not talking about Liverpool. We're not talking about Bayern Munich. And no disrespect to Aston Villa. They're a big club. But they're not as big as we are. And they shouldn't have the same ambitions that we do. But you know what? Fair play to them. Good luck. I hope they go far in the Champions League. I hope they go and win the FA Cup. Because they deserve to. Because they've shown that they want to go and achieve things. What have we shown? That we will be happy to finish 6th or 7th again. That, that's progress. Next year, all of our players will be 1 year older. And then maybe we can get into the top 4. Just absolute garbage. Because next year, Man United won't be this bad again. Tottenham won't be this bad again. Newcastle will be better. Man City will definitely be better. Aston Villa aren't going to go anywhere. And then there's always a couple of other teams that, surprise throughout a season. Who's to say we're going to be even in the mix next year? Because right now, I cannot see any light at the end of the tunnel. And I really want to be positive, right? People always say, you must love it doing, match reviews after a loss and it must give you some great content. No, I hate it. I hate sitting here and looking at the football club that I love, that means so much to me, just as it does to so many people around the world, and just see failure from top to bottom. Complete abject failure from top to bottom. And still, again, I'm not going to call for Maresca's head. Look what he had to work with yesterday. Look what Unai Emery had to work with. And Unai Emery is a better manager than Enzo Maresca at this moment in time. And look at what Maresca has to work with. We've got 2 goalkeepers that are not good enough. Awful. Those are our 2 goalkeepers we've got to rely on that are gifting points away every week. Now, you can't drop Philip Jorgensen now because that will just completely destroy his confidence. And even if you did, all you do is bring back Robert Sanchez. Our best goalkeeper, Georgia Petrovic, is on loan at Strasbourg. He's, I think, in top 5 for all metrics for goalkeepers in the top 5 European leagues this season. And he's on loan, and we don't think he's good enough. Is he the answer long term? Probably not. Is he Alisson? Is he Edison? Is he Jan Oblak? No, but he's better than what we have. Look up top. We've had 1 striker to Nicholas Jackson, who is not exactly prolific. And that's completely derailed us of having any box presence, anyone that can run in behind, unless it's Pedro Neto. And Pedro Neto having to start up front when you spent £1.5 billion tells you everything you need to know about the failure, the abject failure of these sporting directors, these owners, to build a composite squad that can compete, that can challenge to get back into the top 4. So yeah, top 4 is done now. We might win a couple of our home games. We've got some decent fixtures, but I'm not even convinced that we can beat Leicester or Southampton at this moment in time, because we can see goals, and we don't really look like scoring goals either. You score max maybe 1 a game. The West Ham game, absolute fluke deflection and a goalmouth scramble that could have been disallowed. That's what we've got to work with right now. So can I see us going and beating Southampton 4-5-0, which we should do, really, on Tuesday? No. No, I can't. Cole Palmer, our best player, he's even dropped off a cliff now. That chance he had, I think, with about 15 minutes to go, that Caicedo plays him in, he would have scored that 9 times out of 10 in pretty much the last 18 months, pretty much every game. And I didn't fancy him when he went through, because he looks short of confidence. It looks like he's given up. It looks like he's lost belief in the players in and around him. And, he should have lobbed Martinez, but he fiddled around, took a couple of touches, slipped, then could have passed it to Nkunku, but then took a shot when players were on the line. And Cole Palmer's a brilliant player. He's the least of our problems. But when he's off form, and when he's not performing, when we need him to, then really what kind of hope is there? So yeah, was the performance a disaster? Was it unacceptable? I wouldn't say that. But the outcome was so predictable. It was so predictable. I wasn't surprised. After we went 1-0 up, we capitulated. It was so obvious what would happen. And that kind of almost makes it worse. That kind of almost makes it even more jarring when you just know exactly what's going to happen. You know we're going to fold. You know we're going to go to pieces. You know we're going to capitulate once the atmosphere starts going up, once the Aston Villa players realise that these are left for the taking. Switching off the back, Malagusto, rubbish again. I think one of our best players last season, but he's been absolutely terrible this season. I don't know what's happened to him. He needs a break from the team. And a lot of the players, I'm not just picking on Gusto, look completely devoid of confidence. Look like they've almost kind of given up. And look, if we don't beat Southampton on Tuesday, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what my match review will be. I probably just have a black screen. It will just be a funeral. That will be it. Obviously, there's going to be the protest before the game on Tuesday. I think it would be even more loud, more boisterous than it was before, because I think more and more people have had enough, and they can see the mediocrity we're sliding into. We're becoming a mediocre football club from top to bottom, and they've had 3 years. This isn't 1 year. If this was year one, I'd maybe say, look, let's give him a bit of a chance. This is 3 years. This is a clear body of work now, and it's failure from top to bottom. And something needs to change. Either clear Lake out or change the model, because this cannot go on. This isn't Chelsea Football Club. This isn't even Brighton. It's not acceptable. It's not. And look, I'm completely dejected. I'm sure everyone else is. I just want to have a match review at some point in the near future where I'm praising the team, I'm praising the manager, looking forward to the next game. I've been waxing lyrical about the performance, but I just can't see that coming. Even if we do beat Southampton comfortably, they're one of the worst teams that's ever played in the Premier League, so is there even much we can read into that? I don't know. So yeah, just shambles from top to bottom, and I've got nothing more to say really. Just really, really dejected. I'll see you for the match preview, which will probably be out tomorrow. I'm assuming there may be a few changes. Whether that actually makes any difference, I don't know. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later.